Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Stuff happened at Gen Con. We may be on the precipice of a new golden era of gaming, and Pokemon cards are back in Happy Meals. That's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I am your guild master, Ric Perry, the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned.
Was that?
That's a My Chemical Romance reference.
I was gonna say not My Chemical Romance, the other one.
Panic at the Disco.
And I'm Guildmaster Baron Kane, and I'm not emo, so things like that go over my head.
Congratulations, Baron.
Oh, thanks. It was a fight. It was a fight, but I think I finally got through it. It's 15 minutes in the bathroom, and it was all good.
Yeah, I was congratulating you on this being our 100th episode.
Well, that's a much better congratulations. Let's just forget the other one.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just forget the other one.
You got it.
Right. Anywho, yeah, that's exciting. I mean, yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't think we would ever get here, considering the scope of the project that this was in the beginning. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of us.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. As much as I'd like to give this a bunch of pomp and circumstance, with me being gone at a convention, us posting a actual play of Candela Obscura, it has been about a month since we've recorded a regular episode, and a lot of shit has happened.
Yeah, I've been noticing that, and I've been kind of seeing our to talk about folder kind of getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
So let's start with Gen Con. It's a thing that happened.
It is a thing that happened.
And I went for my very first time.
So what did you think about your first trip to Gen Con?
So first of all, I was not expecting it to be like an entire city block.
Right.
It was huge between the convention center, other hotels that were hosting things for Gen Con, and the entire basement of the football stadium being taken up by Gen Con. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just entirely overwhelming.
I remember the times that I went, it was all, we were pretty much there playing Living City stuff. I think we went to the Indiana one a couple times, and we went to the Lake Geneva, Wisconsin? Yes. Sorry, I had to say it out loud. So we and it wasn't in Lake Geneva, but that's where, the whole Gen came from. We went there a couple times as well, and it definitely got bigger when it got to Indianapolis, and I remember going there just for Living City, and we were in that stadium, and it was just, the whole thing was just game tables.
Mm-hmm. Which is still that way today. It was mostly tournaments that were going on in the stadium side. Like, all the gaming tables were set up, and it was like, here's your trading card game, collectible card game tournaments going on, and a bunch of other stuff that was going on over there. And then the vendor hall was huge. The game library was taking place in an entire other huge room. Yeah, it was just a lot and kind of intimidating. Honestly, I think I missed a lot of what was at Gen Con just because I was like, I'm working 8-hour shifts every day at this Gen Con, and there is a limit of the amount of things that I can take in, especially when a bunch of my processing power is already being taken up by working these shifts.
Absolutely.
So I purposely just excluded part of the convention from what I was exploring and was just like, maybe next time.
Right. You'll have to go just as a attendee. You just don't go, don't work. Just go, enjoy it, and you'll realize there's so much to do. and so many games that you can just play in too that are just everywhere, off the wall, stuff that you never would have expected to play, stuff that you didn't know existed. Yeah, and I know I've brought it up before, but Gen Con was the one convention that I went to that while we were in between games for our regular game, we did a pickup game of Star Trek, like a live action role playing game where we played the original crew.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah, again, just out of nowhere. It was just there. We signed up for it. We did it. It was fun. So, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do there.
So let's talk some of the news that came out of Gen Con. Let's start with what went wrong.
Right in there in the beginning, huh?
Yeah, because it was basically the very beginning of Gen Con that something big went wrong. So there's a big game that Ravensburger is making in conjunction with Disney called Disney Lorcana. And they were basically doing a launch at Gen Con or a pre-release or something like that to where, they were limiting how many each person could buy, but apparently that was the game to get at Gen Con. And you had 5,000 plus people in line, I think is what was reported. And I'm reading most of what happened off of a Walt Disney World News Today website. So I would assume that this website would skew towards making Disney look like the good guy and making Gen Con look like the bad guy.
Right.
But I didn't see anything official put out by Gen Con, so, we take what we can get. And
yeah, I will say, again, not try to mess up your flow here, I would place the blame on the people showing up. The people. I'm usually a person who is all about, blaming the company or blaming the organization because of this, because of that. But man, in this case, it comes back down to these are scalpers doing this.
Yeah, there's a good chance a lot of people in that line were scalpers.
Yeah. And the guild's official stance on scalpers.
Yes.
So
fuck scalpers.
Yeah.
So what it said went down at the release, according to this article here, is that Ravensburger and Disney kind of put out, what room it was going to be in and where the line was going to start. And people started lining up. Like the day before, the night before, they were camping out. They were going to get their game or their pre-release. It says here that when Gen Con staff came in and saw the line, they dispersed the line and in form of a fill the space format where they just kind of took everybody out of the line and shoved them all in a room until all available space was filled. So there was no line anymore. It was now just a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if that's what went down and Gen Con make that decision, that's a pretty poor decision. If the people were already lining up in an orderly way on their own, and then you just kind of turn them into a mob, that's bad form. Yeah.
Yep. Way too many things go wrong on that.
And then just the general volume of people, other people worried about getting their spot in line taken. The space that this was happening was in front of one of the bathrooms, so apparently people were literally stopping people from going to the bathroom because they thought people were trying to cut them in line.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
So a combination of all these things kind of led to a real clusterfuck of people kind of getting crushed and people who were waiting for a couple of days getting put at the back of the line and not getting their product.
Yeah.
So it led to a lot of people being upset. Now, that being said, if we compare this to the other convention we were talking about a couple episodes ago, which one was that? That was Anime Fest or something like that?
Was it the one with all the people that were overselling tickets?
Right.
Crap. I don't know right off the top of my head.
But anyway, if you compare that to the anime convention that infamously mishandled its selling of tickets and being just kind of generally overcrowded, it's a lot better that it was only the one event. It kind of becomes difficult to find out who to blame because do we blame Ravensburger? Do we blame Disney? Do we blame Gen Con? Do we blame the scalpers? Who knows? But at least it was only the one event that was kind of mishandled and it wasn't just an entire convention of clusterfuck.
Yeah, and the con that you're referring to was Anime Expo.
Yeah, that's it. But that being said, Gen Con did break its attendance record this year.
Wow.
And because of that, they re-signed their contract with Indianapolis to go through 2030.
Oh, wow.
So Gen Con will be held in Indianapolis through 2030 because of how well they've done, especially this year.
Unsurprising.
Gen Con reported over 70,000 unique attendees to Gen Con this year.
Jesus.
And that's a lot of people.
I want to double check something here. And it's not going to tell me. Yeah, it's saying Gen Con 2019 had nearly 70,000 unique attendees.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely, you can see where the jump is there.
Right. And you know how people like reporting those nice round numbers. So the difference between nearly 70,000 and over 70,000 could be in the tens of thousands. Well, probably in the thousands.
Right.
But when you got that many people, it gets hard to know who's supposed to be where. And another day one snafu, a local retailer lost about $300,000 worth of Magic the Gathering cards.
Holy crap, what happened there?
So, after they watched footage, after the Gen Con had opened, apparently some guy who was not supposed to be where he was grabbed a pallet and a pallet jack of Magic the Gathering cards and just walked out the door with the whole pallet.
Just left.
Mm-hmm. Like, all the cards that were being delivered to this vendor booth at Gen Con just walked away with the whole pallet.
Wow. Okay.
I'll go ahead and read it right here from Polygon. They were 2 unidentified men. It was a whole pallet full of boxes. The vendor was Pastime Comics and Games. The manager, Zach Ryder, told Polygon that the cards were all Magic the Gathering cards. Pastime Comics and Games is both a retailer and a tabletop organizer. And even though they lost all those cards, they still opened their booth and still held all of their tournaments and still gave all the prizes they planned on giving.
It's gotta suck, though. Yeah. Again, fuck scalpers. That's just a straight up thief, though.
The 2 suspects are Thomas J. Dunbar and Andrew Pearson Guillaume of New York City. They're both from New York, so they were there for the convention. They grabbed a pallet jack, eventually moved it to a dolly, and just took all those cards. Allegedly.
They have names now, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, fuck you guys.
Seriously.
And just to give you an idea, kind of going back to that whole attendance thing, how many people did you say was at this Gen Con?
Over 70,000.
So, at the first Gen Con that happened in Indiana, the one I went to, was 25,000 people.
So, well over double.
Yeah, and if it tells you anything...
Getting close to triple.
If it tells you anything, it looks like Gen Con 2022 was 50,000 people.
Right.
So the difference between this year and the first year was done just in last year. Right. That's funny.
I think at this point, we've reached that point where people are no longer scared to go to conventions because of COVID.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm seeing 2020, there was not a Gen Con. It was held virtually. And then even 2021, there was only 35,000 people, which was a huge, huge dip, almost half from previous years. And then it's shooting right back up. Makes me wonder how many people walked out of there with COVID, though.
Yeah, I'm wondering that myself. Or is COVID the con crud flavor of the era?
Right. Yeah, con crud is just going to be called COVID from now on. COVID is just going to become something else. It's I think it's lost a lot of its punch anyways, so
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Who knows?
I mean, leprosy's back in Florida.
Wonderful.
So, who knows what we'll end up with as far as cod and crud goes.
Yeah. Oh, fun. Maybe I don't want to go back to conventions.
So another thing that kind of helped me not see everything, the convention, and kind of made it easier for me to digest was when I went, I was entirely broke, which I don't recommend. If you're going to go to a convention, take some money with you. I was making bologna sandwiches for most of the week. But on that end, shout out to True Dungeon. If you've never done it before, it's a really cool thing you can do that's a mixture between like a live action role play and a series of escape rooms where you kind of get to go through a dungeon. I had a lot of cool experiences at Gen Con because of True Dungeon. They paid for my hotel, they paid for my ticket, they gave me a stipend that I could use at the end of the week. And while I was there, I just had a ton of fun helping people create their characters for True Dungeon.
Something I've always wanted to do, but every time I'd go, it was already sold out. Like, if you ever want to do True Dungeon, sign up the year before.
Right.
So, yeah. I think that you have that ability, don't you, to sign up the year before?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a year before, but it definitely is a very early...
Yeah. Yeah, just do that. If you ever want to do it, which I think you should, just sign up early, please.
Yeah.
Or you're going to go in disappointed.
Yeah, I had quite a few people who... They say you can show up to a half hour early for your game.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a thing that happens to give a break to the volunteers that they call the bubble. Where... Yeah. Where they basically end a game and... they don't add someone in for the next game. They literally have like an open slot that they do not sell tickets for.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of gives a break to all the volunteers where like instead of back-to-back runs, they can take a break.
Right.
So there were a couple people that would show up to an hour early and we would just let them sit in the room and play with their tokens if that's what they really wanted to do before their run because we were in the bubble.
Right.
So I would get questions from some of those people because there'd only be like 2 or 3 people in the room. And they'd be like, are we going to be able to do this thing if we're only 3 people? And I was like, you're not going to be. And they were like, oh. And I was like, every single one of these has been sold out. There's a possibility that, you know, a couple people might not show up. 1 or 2 people might not show up. But you're not only going to be 3 people. It's a 10-person run. Every run is a 10-person run. You're going to be fine. There were even a couple 11 to 12-person runs, depending on what had happened. So, but normally it is a 10-person thing.
Like for a group?
Yes.
That is kind of overwhelming to me.
It can be. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you are the kind of person who gets overwhelmed in crowds, I recommend buying out an entire run with you and your friends. They even let you, let's say you and your group are a group of 8 people. They have no problem with you buying all 10 tickets and just doing an 8-person run.
I wouldn't imagine they would. I mean, as long as the tickets are getting bought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them having a problem with that at all.
And you gotta imagine the other thing is...
I will say, though, it kind of sucks, though, if you are an 8-person thing and you're like, you know what? I'm going to buy the last 2 tickets just so it's just us 8. It's like, man, you are like a step away from a scalper for me. It's like you were taking away an opportunity for someone to be playing this. As someone who has not been able to play that game because it's been sold out. Yeah.
I can say
kind of shitty.
I worked every day and I never saw that happen once. So they say you can do it, but I didn't see anyone do it. If anything, like I said, we saw a couple 11 and 12-person runs where they admitted to like, hey, we sold an extra ticket for this, or this person couldn't show up for their run at 2:15 and they're here at 2:30. Do you mind if they join your run? And people were totally cool with it.
Gotcha.
So the way it generally works is when you enter a room, there are 12 different classes you can choose from, and you can't repeat. So if somebody is the fighter, you can't be the fighter. So normally 2 classes get chopped off, and that's the run. The one thing that does kind of frustrate me, the one time I did do True Dungeon, and I could see this being a snag in the future, it's 7 rooms, and you get 12 minutes in each room. So imagine you got 12 people and you have one DM in that room, and you only get 12 minutes in that room, means you have about a minute or less with that DM to get something done. So the number one piece of advice I give to people, that anybody gives to people in True Dungeon, is don't overthink it. Go in there, do what you're going to do, make your decision, and move on.
Yeah, which definitely makes a lot of sense. And you know, and I'm not saying this because, you know, I'm trying to tear down True Dungeon here or anything like that, but I can see how that format could be super frustrating and take away from a lot of the fun. But with something as big as True Dungeon, decisions have to be made, and that's probably the best decision that they've made.
Yeah. I mean, if you're the kind of person who can get into it, the fast pace can make it even more fun. And, you know, if they're not moving people through, then the next people don't get to come in. So it's just a matter of, it's kind of a thing that has to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as someone who plays role-playing games to role-play, it would take a bit away from me.
Yeah. The idea of True Dungeon is not necessarily to roleplay. It's about the puzzles and the combat. Like I said, it's more of a series of escape rooms than anything. And you've got 12 minutes to solve that room, be it either to kill the monster that's in that room or solve that puzzle that's in that room. And if you don't, they just move you to the next room and you take damage. And that's just how it works. Right. But if you do want to roleplay about it, I mean, you get up to an hour in the room before you go into True Dungeon. And then you get another, I want to say it's about 20-25 minutes in the training room before you go into the dungeon itself. And then there's Epilogue, which is a nice little 20-minute to a half an hour room at the end, where they kind of get to go over, you know, what happened in the story, and you kind of get to afterglow with your team and get your treasure. So those are kind of your opportunities for roleplay.
Okay. That makes it a lot better, actually. So yeah, so I could see, yeah, that's a lot better. It gives you that chance, and then, you know, if you're really looking at it from a D&D standpoint, that whole thing is going to be very fast-paced, and, you know, so, yeah, no, I dig it.
But a lot of cool people really enjoy it. I got to meet somebody really cool while I was doing True Dungeon. And I'm not just talking about my fellow volunteers, because I'll be honest, they were really cool people. A couple of them might be listening right now, and I had fun with you guys, and I look forward to doing it again another year, or possibly at a different convention. But I met Joe Mangiello while working True Dungeon, and his dog Bubbles.
I am assuming that Mr. Joe Mangiello probably has a free run whenever he wants it. Not that he couldn't afford it, but I
think what actually happened was, I don't think he paid for it, but I don't think it was a free run either. I think True Dungeon didn't know it was going to be him until he showed up. It was made very clear by the scramble of some of the higher ups to kind of make sure that, like, if this was going to be a run that got talked about by the press, that, like, everything was done 100% by the book. And, you know, Joe Mangiello got to shake hands with, like, the creators of True Dungeon and everything like that. So, and I don't think they were anticipating that. Otherwise, they kind of would have been set up on his way coming in. But I believe what ended up happening was somebody else bought out that run. And Joe and a couple other people who were working the same game release that he was at the convention kind of all did that run together.
Gotcha.
And someone in that room, because this was definitely Joe's first time, but someone in that room was a avid True Dungeon person, because they had a ton of tokens. They outfitted basically the entire party. When you play True Dungeon, you can be 4th level or 5th level. And then if you're really good at True Dungeon, you can get a subclass and become 6th level. And I believe they made everybody in that party like 5th or 6th level.
Good.
So yeah, they were ready for that run. And Joe was obviously just along for the ride. He was like, I'm here, this seems fun, let's do it. He's like, I don't know what all these tokens mean, but they handed me these tokens, let's do it.
Right. That absolutely reminds me of that Origins I went to, and Bruce Campbell showed up to a Deadlands LARP.
Oh yeah.
He just showed up as Briscoe County Jr. And he was just like, yeah, this seems like a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure he was there to play Briscoe County Jr. and he just did character stuff. He wasn't playing, he was like an NPC.
Sure.
So, yeah, that was cool.
I don't know how he actually did in the dungeon. I was just there at the beginning. That was kind of my whole thing. I was there to show people how to set tokens up on their character and how to use the app, which is optional, but, you know, if they want to enter their tokens in on the app and make sure they were ready before they went to training and understood, you know, what it was they were getting into. Which for a lot of the groups that made me more or less useless because some of the groups were people who had been doing it for years and already had their token layouts registered in the app. They were ready to go. They had done it 100 times. They didn't need the beginner spiel. So I just kind of gave them their character card, took away their trash, and said, have fun.
Did you have any, like, besides the Joe Manganiello incident, did you have any, like, normal people, good, like, crazy stories or anything?
No, I think it's mostly because I was just kind of working the entrance. I did run into a player who'd been playing True Dungeon for a very long time, and I thought their character was very cool. They had a stuffed ferret along with them, and they made it very clear that the ferret was the druid, and they were just the druid's handler.
That's funny.
They were there just to carry the druid through. And apparently several of the DMs had a bounty on that ferret's head because of how well that ferret has done through the dungeons and how many hit points that the ferret had and all that kind of stuff. So,
jeez, that's funny.
Yeah. So that was fun. And the dungeon I was working was called Darkhold Keep. So they were actually storming a castle. So on their way out of the beginning room and into the training room, I would always go, have fun storming the castle. And then
that's funny.
I think one of the rooms behind heard that I was doing that before it was their turn to leave. And like 4 or 5 of them, after I said, have fun storming the castle, they all in unison said, do you think they'll make it? And I was like, it'll take a miracle. Geeks are fun.
Geeks are fun. Geeks can be fun. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So a couple other things that happened at the convention that were not terrible pallets of stolen cards or True Dungeon.
Right.
As you know, I am a big fan of Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
Uh-huh.
They announced a new expansion at Gen Con.
Okay.
That is a holiday expansion. That makes Santa and a demented elf both playable characters.
Okay.
And adds a bunch of new rooms and has haunts that are all holiday themed, specifically winter holidays.
Dig it. That's funny.
So if you're like me and you have a yearly friend miss where your friends come over around Christmas time, you do a Dirty Santa gift exchange and play some board games, it's fucking perfect.
Yeah, sounds neat.
And they're releasing that along with the 3rd edition of the game and the rule set.
Okay. Do you know if there's like any big difference?
Most of the changes in like from 1st edition to 2nd edition to 3rd edition are just kind of quality of life improvements. Like there's nothing stopping you from using like newer expansions with older editions. And there's nothing stopping you from even using 3rd edition's rules with a 1st edition game board. A lot of the additions are component improvements. They add optional rules like if you've played the game before, right? Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
They make changes to like the way the haunt roll works to where it doesn't happen on like turn 1. Once again, it's optional.
Right.
They make it so if you have a gaming group that you normally play with and you have one person who like has never played the game before and they come up as the traitor, they have like new rules that make it so you can make someone else the traitor. That way this new person to the game doesn't get singled out by themselves.
Gotcha. That's good. That's a good one.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that. It's all just quality of life improvements. Like no big rules changes or anything like that.
Gotcha. I saw that there was another game that was talked about. Not released, but talked about, at least.
Mhm.
A little bit of Daggerheart.
Yeah.
Did you get to go and check that out?
I did not check out Daggerheart specifically. The Darrington press booth was kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah, I could tell. I just from how everybody was talking about it, it's like that's got to be just being destroyed.
And not just because of Daggerheart, and not just because of Candle Obscura. They also released a new box board game, or are releasing. I honestly don't remember if it was released at Gen Con, if they were like talking about it, but they were doing little demos of it at their booth. But I did manage to squeeze in and talk for a couple of minutes with Ivan von Norman, which was pretty cool. I don't know why he chose to talk to me. I mean, if you know who Ivan von Norman is, he's got a very distinct look. If you know who he is, it's easy to tell by looking at him. So I was just walking by the booth. I locked eyes with him, gave him a little smile, and after he rearranged some stuff, he came over and talked to me out of the crowd. He was like, "Hey man, how you doing? Do you like some of our games?" And so I told him, I was like, as a matter of fact,
right?
We just did a 3-part Let's Play of Candela Obscura on my podcast. I gave him my card. He said he was glad to know that the game is out there and that it's getting traction and that there are people, actually playing it where people can hear to see where it's done. So he said he'd definitely check it out. Now, whether or not he was doing that because he said that because he was being kind and it was his booth and he had worked on the game, I don't know. Or if he actually checked it out. But either way, I let him know that he shared the facial hair with the character I played. Nice. We both got big, red, bushy mutton chops, both my character that I played and Ivan von Norman. So
nice. Yeah, I wouldn't be too terribly insulted if he didn't check it out. I mean, I'm imagining the man is busy.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably busier than I am, and I'm too busy to listen to a bunch of podcasts, so...
Right.
I get it. But, if he did, yay.
Yeah. It's kind of thing where it wouldn't surprise me either way. Because if he did, he'd be doing it because he's like, well, this is my game with the quick set rule set with rubber meeting the road. How did they do? What... Like, it's kind of like a free observable playtest.
Right.
But at the same time... How many of those does he have access to where we are just a fart in the wind?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's true. If he did listen, I hope I did the game justice.
Yeah, I think if anything, you did do the game justice. And the other thing was, I let him know that a couple things happened where the rules weren't there for it, and we just kind of hand waved it, and he knew that. He was like, yep, we kind of expect that with the quick start guide.
He's like, fair. All right. But yeah, it's a fun game. And from what I've seen of Daggerheart looks like it's going to be good. It's definitely unique. Well, I say that, but I know it uses a game engine that I have not been familiar with. But it looks like this is very, very role-play heavy.
Yeah, so, I'm not familiar with any other 2D12 systems.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said it runs off of an engine. I just can't remember which engine it was.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to get a campaign going in it. I'm excited to go or lean away from D&D, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I feel like both of those systems being put out by Darrington Press are right up your alley specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Like very role-play heavy, very story heavy. Even the settings seem to be very much your bag. And not saying that they aren't mine. I'm just saying, I'm in the vicinity. You are the target.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, like with and I keep comparing it to it, but it's impossible to not compare it to Call of Cthulhu. It's very Call of Cthulhu, the Candela Obscura, except it's a smaller world.
Right.
Like more, it's meant to be played in short bursts. It's a sprint game.
Right.
It's not a marathon game, so it doesn't need to be a big world. So I like that.
It gives me the vibes that there is something going on in the greater world, but you're the types of characters who do not have the time to worry about it. Like, you're too busy putting out the immediate fires in your small little street level to be worrying about more galactic level problems.
Right.
And there are reasons to get out of Call of Cthulhu. There are reasons to get out of D&D. And if you are one of the people trying to get out of either of those systems, Candle Obscure and Daggerheart, they're here, and they're pretty damn good.
Yep. Well, from what we've seen of Daggerheart, we should say it's pretty damn good.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, I don't mean to suck this company's dick, but like so far, Darrington Press, the people they've hired,
I'll suck that company's dick.
The people they've hired, the stuff they've put out, I can't imagine a world where it does not come out to be a good system.
Nope, you're right. But speaking of also Darrington Press and where that company came from, if you are a fan of some of the people in Critical Role, some of the people who have showed up in Critical Role, especially of their voice acting, there's a game that just got released called Stray Gods. It's it's on Steam right now, and it's got a lot of people who have been in Critical Role, and including the main character being voiced by Laura Bailey. So far, it's good. There's a lot of singing because it's a musical, and I think they did pretty good. The character designs on them are pretty awesome. So, yeah, and definitely check that out.
If you are a fan of Critical Role, and you like some of these games that are being put out by Darrington Press, you might need some new dice.
I do.
You know where you could get those? GeekyClean.com. The handmade monthly dice set Bath Bomb subscription box is the ultimate indulgence for dice enthusiasts and bath lovers alike. Every month, subscribers receive a curated, handmade dice bath bomb, each with its own unique scent, color, and set of dice. These bath bombs are carefully crafted with high-quality ingredients, providing a relaxing and exciting soak every time.
The colors and scents change each month, so subscribers never know what to expect. From vibrant hues to calming shades, and from sweet and floral fragrances to spicy and invigorating scents, the dice bombs change every month. And of course, the highlight of the subscription box is the different sets of dice. Each month, subscribers receive a new set of dice ready for their next adventure.
The dice bomb for August is Strawberry Daiquiri, scented with strawberry, lime, coconut, rum, and sugar fragrance. Each dice has tiny strawberries inside and pink swirls. Each bath bomb also comes with a linen dice bag. And don't forget, you can get 10% off your subscription or any other order with our link or discount code Guild Decree. But yeah, I think we're just scratching the surface as far as the news we have to cover this episode.
Yeah, we're just kind of dancing around it, aren't we?
I am not the biggest fan of Magic the Gathering, but they did make a couple announcements at Gen Con about their Universe Beyond collaborations. So they're going to be partnering with Assassin's Creed. So we're going to get some Assassin's Creed Magic the Gathering cards. They're going to be partnering with Final Fantasy. So look for that foil chocobo coming out soon. And they're going to be partnering with Fallout. So look forward to some post-apocalyptic Magic the Gathering action.
Tell you what, I do like me some Fallout. Mm-hmm. But I'm just so not into Magic that it's like it doesn't even excite me.
Right. The only thing I will recommend is if you're the kind of person who isn't into Magic and isn't into the card hustle and everything like that, when it comes to sets like this, you can usually buy one commander deck for $25 to $30. You know exactly what cards you're getting, so you can get a set that appeals to you as far as your flavor. And when it comes to Commander and the way Commander works as a format, as long as you're not trying to play in like the try-hard tournaments, which there almost are none when it comes to Commander, your deck's gonna be viable.
Yeah.
And you've only spent that much on it. So if you hear Fallout or Final Fantasy or Assassin's Creed and you're like, man, I don't really like Magic, but some of those sets do sound cool, I would say just go buy yourself one Commander deck, find somebody to play Commander with, or look at your Commander night at your local game store, and you'll be fine.
Speaking of Magic, remember how we were talking about that Lord of the Rings set?
Yeah.
And about how there is the One Ring, and we didn't really know how much it was worth and all that stuff.
It was all debatable.
Yeah. Well, we now know how much it's worth.
Mm-hmm. Or how much one guy is willing to pay for it.
Right. So that One Ring one of One Ring card sold for $2.6 million. That is now officially the most expensive and valuable Magic card in history.
Mm-hmm.
And who, might you ask, has that kind of money to be able to spend on a little piece of cardboard with a picture on it?
Before you reveal who it was, I want to say I could not imagine it going to a better person.
Oh, no, I completely agree.
Like, there's a lot of assholes that this card could have gone to. And someone to have this kind of money to spend on this card and, like, still kind of be, like, a decent person and unashamed geek could not... I don't think this sale of this card could have gone better.
Agreed. All right, so we gave you plenty of chance to guess. You probably already know, obviously, but if you don't know, we'll give you a chance to guess. It's Post Malone. Post Malone. He was definitely not... Honestly, I didn't think anybody named was going to be getting that card. Nobody of any kind of fame, nobody of any kind of anything. I thought it was going to go to some asshole collector, you know, who just collects these things as investments. And, you know, he was going to go into a vault somewhere for, you know, till they wanted to cash in on it, I guess. I don't know.
Until it was worth $5 million and then...
Right. So it going to Post, it's like, man, oh man, that's going to... knowing that guy, it's probably going to go in a deck.
I mean, it is currently sealed and graded, and I don't think he's going to crack it.
Watch him.
I mean, especially... like, I know he has the regular One Ring, like the one that's not printed in Elvish, the one that's not one of one. So if he wants to use the One Ring, I don't think he'll use the Elvish one. I wouldn't be surprised if he wears it.
Oh?
Like,
okay.
Like, and I hate to compare him to Logan Paul, but Logan Paul wore a graded Charizard card as a chain for a long time. A graded first edition Charizard. I could see Post Malone wearing it like that.
Okay. But yeah, I think it definitely went to a good guy. You know, he seems like a good guy. He definitely seems like a huge geek. You know,
I don't think that could have been better for the person who pulled the card and the fan of Post Malone who got to meet Post Malone and sell the card to Post Malone. That couldn't have gone better for Post because you know he really wanted that card and some asshole from overseas could have snatched it up right out from underneath him. It could not have gone better for the Magic community as a whole because that card did not disappear into obscurity where everybody's wondering where it ended up. Everybody knows exactly where it is and what happened to it.
Absolutely.
So it almost feels like really nice to report on some good news out of that card because it could have been a fucking disaster.
Could have been. Absolutely. Hopefully the guy that got it isn't one of those guys that just up and walked out of Gen Con. Or, you know what I mean? Same guys.
Right.
They just got that at another convention.
All right. Moving away from Gen Con and Magic and all that good stuff. Recently, there was a THQ Nordic showcase, and they announced quite a few games with quite a few release dates. I'm just going to be honest with the listeners of this podcast. If you want to hear them all, go ahead and look it up. It was a decent showcase, but there were two games that I personally am excited for.
Okay.
The first one being South Park Snow Day, which looks to be a continuation of the RPG games Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole, where you get to play as your own created character, the new kid. But this time it is a co-op multiplayer 3D combat game.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
It is. But I'm really excited because me and my wife both really enjoy the South Park games, and the fact that we can now sit down and play one co-op is going to be a ton of fun. The other game that got announced that I'm excited for, and by the way, both of these are dates to be determined. Neither of them have a release date. But the other one just got a little teaser. We don't even really know what the gameplay looks like or how it's going to be handled. But it was TMNT The Last Ronin. Which I almost don't even want to say announced, because I feel like we heard a while ago that they were going to be making a game out of it, or somebody snatched up the game license. But we did officially get a teaser trailer, which is really cool.
Yeah, it should be fun. obviously, I think we had talked about it before being released,
Mhm.
and it's good to know that they are getting through it now.
Yeah. Both of these, while they don't have release dates, they are saying 2024, I believe. So we shouldn't have to wait too long.
Right.
If they're doing The Last Ronin justice, it's going to be a sad one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of video game stuff to go through. Why don't we just go ahead and stick with that?
Okay, so there are some of us that are parents of young children, and a certain animated show has come along that parents of young children seem to be liking more than the young children, which is really saying something because the young children also really like the show.
Right.
And it's Bluey. And Bluey is getting its own video game.
Cute. I wonder how they're going to do that.
I imagine it'll be a lot like a lot of the other early childhood games, like the Sesame Street games and stuff like that. It is rated on the Australian rating system. It's rated G for general. So it'll probably be right alongside the Paw Patrol games and the Peppa Pig games and stuff like that. It'll just be better because it's Bluey.
Great. I would like to see them do a good RPG out of it.
Right. I know a lot of people out there just want to be able to play as Muffin.
I guess they're saying it's a treasure hunt style game.
Right.
Not sure what that means. I'm sure I've played a treasure hunt style game, but I couldn't describe one to you for the life of me.
If I had to guess, it would be one of those like point and click style find the thing games.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, where's the magnifying glass in this picture?
Okay.
It's not going to be anything genre defining or game breaking as far as hardcore gamers concerned. It's going to be meant for little kids to play it. But it'll be a cool game to play with my kid, who I have started on video games recently. She's now playing through Kirby on her own. So
cute.
All right, next up on my list of video game news, Nintendo just added 2 classic Zelda games to their Switch library, if you have the Switch Online service. And I'm particularly excited about these 2 because I've played a lot of Zelda games in my time, but I never got the chance to play these 2 games. So it finally gives me a chance to break into these. And that's Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons.
Oh, very nice.
If you're not familiar with these 2 games, these are 2 games that were published but not developed by Nintendo when they originally came out. I want to say they were Capcom, and they were designed to be played on the Game Boy Color and be direct sequels to one another, and it didn't matter which one you played first. If you played one game and got to the end, it would give you a little code that you could put into the second game that would turn it into a sequel of the first game.
Ooh.
So you could kind of pick up right where you left off going into the second game, depending on which one you decided to play second.
Mm. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. And I didn't even have this one on our to talk to about list, but they also just announced at a Pokemon kind of press release that they're adding Pokemon Stadium 2 and the Pokemon trading card game, video game that they originally made for Game Boy Color, are also being added to the Switch Live service.
Huh. I did like the original Pokemon Stadium. It's a good game. Nintendo really hitting that nostalgia button.
Oh, yeah. Which is honestly, it's something they really need to do because a lot of their games, when it comes to games like that, aren't available right now anywhere. Mm-hmm. So making them available here and not charging an arm and a leg for them, because the closest Nintendo ever got to this was like the Nintendo eShop and the DSi shop. And a lot of these old games were still being sold at full price on those digital shops. So just making it a part of their live service where if you pay once a year, you get access to all of these old school games, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah,
keep choosing some bangers, Nintendo. That's all I can say. Also, in video game news, Baldur's Gate 3 finally out of early release.
Finally.
I just started playing it today. It's kind of fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I actually have I was playing it on Twitch for a while when it was in its early access. It can be punishing. It can absolutely be punishing but it does not have anywhere near the features that the full release game does now.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to have to break mine back out and start playing again.
Unfortunately, your progress from early release doesn't carry over, which was kind of a bit of a news story on its own. A lot of people were upset that they put a lot of hours into their early release character.
Well,
and
I mean,
they
that's
just
their
can't play it anymore.
That's their fucking fault for putting that much emotional investment in an early release game. Sorry.
I think they could have at least left it open to where you can't bring that character over to the full version, but you can still play that character on the early release version. They have just kind of locked people out of, like, if you download the full version of the game, you can no longer play those characters. They're gone forever.
Gotcha.
Which that kind of sucks.
I mean, again, it's not like an actual TTRPG where, you know, you just kind of you have your character at all times on a piece of paper. This is a game on a, you know, and this may be a hot take or whatever. A lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but it's just a fucking video game. You can make that exact same character again and just take him through it again. If you have hours and hours invested in the other game, that only tells me that you don't mind another playthrough. So just do it.
Yeah, but it's getting a lot of good reviews. And I said this, I think we might be entering a new golden era in gaming. If give me one more release and I'll make it a guild decree. Because we had Zelda Tears of the Kingdom come out, and that had other developers shook.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they were talking about that game and, like, what it managed to do with the engine that it had and the power it had. And they were like, if this is the new bar, like, we're in trouble.
Yep.
And now there are developers saying the same thing about Larian and Baldur's Gate 3. They're like, the amount of content that is available in this game that works and is available, and all for just the base price of the game. Like, if this is the new bar, we are shooketh. And developers are saying this kind of stuff, and give me one more release that have developers shaking in their boots like these two do, and because once is a fluke, twice is a coincidence, 3 times, that's a pattern, and I think that'll be the start of a brand new golden era in video games.
No, I'm in complete agreement.
Now, on the other end of that, Overwatch 2 finally hit Steam. It's only been available through Blizzard previously, but it hit Steam, which means it's now reviewable, because you couldn't review it before, but you can review games that are on Steam, and it didn't take long for it to become the worst reviewed game on Steam.
Oh, wow.
It is currently sitting at an overwhelmingly negative score, and even as a fan of Overwatch 2, I think I've said it 100 times, it deserves it. It really does.
I mean, yeah, it's what you sow, I guess.
It was so mishandled. I mean, Overwatch 2 is supposed to be a sequel, and it feels like an early release game. They overpromised and underdelivered when it came to Overwatch 2. If they wanted to try stuff out like they're trying on they should have just left it as Overwatch 1 and waited until they were ready before they made it Overwatch 2, because it's essentially the same game.
Yeah.
Yeah, just doesn't belong. It belongs where it is as far as the reviews, and that's what they get.
I mean, I'm just glad that we are able to get some kind of feedback like that is telling them exactly where they're fucking up and shit. So
right,
but I will say that I may not think that I'm with you when I say I'm going to need one more thing to tell me that we are, you know, in a new golden age for games, but I really, really think that these trends are especially Tears of the Kingdom going into Baldur's Gate. It's definitely going to convince companies to be like, okay, maybe we should start doing something different.
Right.
So while I don't think we're in that golden age yet, I think we're on our way.
Yeah, and big games are going to start losing out to these games. We already saw it with Diablo 4 is the one that just came out. Diablo 4 was huge until Baldur's Gate released. And now people are shitting all over Diablo 4, talking about how it is nowhere close to as good as Baldur's Gate. And Diablo is losing sales to Baldur's Gate. And that's where you got to hit developers and publishers in order to let them know what you want in games. You hit them in their wallet, and they're like, this is the game that's selling. This is the game that's not. This is what we need to do if we want to keep making money.
Agreed. There's too many companies just pumping out just cookie cutter shit, half-assed developed games, not finished games. It's not going to keep us happy anymore. Not in my opinion. So, yeah.
All right.
I think we're on our way out.
Last bit of video game news that I'm excited about. I don't know if anybody is excited like I'm excited, but Monster Hunter is coming out with a new mobile game that's coming out September 14th that is basically going to be the Monster Hunter version of Pokemon Go.
Okay.
Where you can actually like go out with your friends, hunt some monsters in actual places. It looks like it's going to be awesome. I'm not going to spend too much longer on it. If it sounds like your thing, if you're a Monster Hunter fan, if you're a Pokemon Go fan, if you're both, make sure to check it out. All right, coming out of the video game space and kind of re-entering the tabletop space, Renegade is now coming out with a Night Vale role-playing game.
Excited about that. Well, hold on. Let me back that up a little bit. I am tentatively excited about that. Obviously the whole concept sounds fun, turning that world into a TTRPG, but at the same time, it's like, okay, where are you going to go with this? It's like, what can you do with this world in a TTRPG? And, what is the system going to be like? Are you just going to make this, I don't know. And then even then, it's like playing a character in this world. Are we going to be playing established characters? Like, do we get to make our own characters? If we get to make our own characters, how fucked are we? It's, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions and not a whole lot of answers right now. The only thing we really know about it is that it's supposed to hit us in 2024. But there is a site where you can sign up to get updates for it. So if you're the kind of person who likes Night Vale and likes TTRPGs, maybe hit that mailing list. With Night Vale coming out with theirs and Old Gods of Appalachia coming out with theirs, a lot of podcasts are hitting up.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you never
Who
know.
Knows?
You never
Who knows
know
what might happen. I think if we ended up doing a Casters Guild game, it's going to be 100% just a free download in Discord, and we'll probably use a free to use engine for that as well. So, but yeah, I mean, I get Old Gods. I can see how Old Gods would turn into a really good game. How that could be, you could have a character in that. Yeah, it's still dangerous, but I mean, I could see how a character could thrive in that world. Night Vale, I don't know.
Well, it could just be one of those games where you're supposed to die. Like a lot of Call of Cthulhu settings are. You start playing that game with the expectation that you're not going to make it out alive, and you just enjoy the ride. Yeah,
and hey, maybe Cecil will like you, and you'll be fine.
Dimension 20 just hit us with the new season. Mentopolis.
Wait, Topolis.
Mentopolis.
Are we talking about the main crew?
Sort of. We got some new people on this one. Hank Green is one of the people playing.
I didn't know that's what it was called. I saw the preview for that, and I guess I completely forgot what it was called. I was pretty excited for that. They have a weird doodad in the middle of the table, and you know how I am with doodads.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see how that's going to go.
Yeah, Brendan Lee Mulligan is the game master. Hank Green, Danielle Radford, Alex Songzia, Conrad Chintz, Siobhan Thompson, Mike Trapp, and Freddie Wong. Which honestly, a lot of people were really like, oh my god, Hank Green's going to be in this one, and completely buried the fact that Freddie Wong is going to be playing. And I saw that and I was like, oh my god, my early internet heart runneth over Freddie Wong.
It's funny. Yeah, it looks like a good cast. I mean, I've seen most of these people playing games. Hank Green out of nowhere, though.
Right.
Like everything that I've heard about Hank Green, it's like, how are you there? how are you allowing yourself to be around people? But at the same time, like I'm on the site now, and maybe I'm not catching something, but is the first episode really 24 minutes long?
I have not checked myself, but I mean, when it comes to Dimension 20, that sounds right.
No, it doesn't. The Dimension 20 is like 2 hours, which, is still half of a Critical Role game.
Well, when I say it sounds right, what I mean is that it doesn't surprise me that they would do something shorter form.
I don't know. Well, they got one right beside it that's like 1 minute and 56 seconds, so
that's probably
that
the
must
trailer.
just be like, yeah. And then I know that after every game they do, well, at least lately, they've done like a little talking session at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And those are usually about a half hour long. So I'm expecting maybe this is just them sitting around chatting.
Possibly.
Don't know.
Maybe I'll check it out right after.
Yeah, that's what
we're
I'm
done
going to
recording here. I mean, it's worth checking out. It also might be kind of like an intro thing. Like maybe it's their session 0.
That's almost exactly what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's there's no bigger game to go with it. So the only thing I can think of is this has got to be like a prelude, something. But yeah, I was really excited to watch this. They're the Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Yeah.
That was good. Bob the Drag Queen is on it, and I'm a huge fan.
I mean, that's 4 episodes, and those range between 17 and 25 minutes apiece.
No, you're looking at the wrong ones.
Okay.
You're looking at the post episodes.
Okay, so that's in a different thing.
Yeah, the Dungeons and Drag Queens is about 2.5 hours.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Oh no, you know what? I went back. I went to the actual page. There is one for 1 hour 56 minutes. So yeah, I just had to do some looking around.
There it is.
It didn't pop up on the new releases though, which is weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it did come out as of recording. It came out about 3 days ago.
Gotcha.
So.
Also, just in terms of Dropout, I know that there's been a lot of heat on streaming services. Dropout just announced their kind of stance and standing in the current, with the strike and everything like that.
Right.
They had an official announcement on that one, in that they're going to be able to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
They already pay above the minimums required. They're going to state that they're going to go, and these are Sam Reich's words, that they're going to go above and beyond to reward and protect the performers and crew members, and plan to put even more of the money where their mouth is before the end of the year. But they're also respecting their workers' wishes. If they want to stay out, go strike, and march the picket lines, they're like, yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, big respect for Dropout. But this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is a company filled with writers. They're all writers.
Yeah, like I know we said we weren't going to be covering shows and movies, but that being said, we will be covering shows and movies who meet the strike standards. Like, if that company is making a movie like A24, Dropout, if you are a company that's making shows and movies and you are meeting the demands of the strikers, we will talk about your shit.
Yeah, like A24.
Which is coming out with their first musical pretty soon. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to work.
Shut up.
I mean, it's A24, so we know it'll be nuts.
A24 is all over the place. They just do what they want at this point, and wait a minute. Is it really called Dix the Musical?
I don't know, but it would not surprise me in the least.
It is called Dix the Musical. Yeah, it's called Dick's the Musical.
That it should be fantastic. Whatever they're going to do.
Bowen Yang of SNL, I believe he's an SNL alum, and Megan Thee Stallion, and Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane in
an A24 movie. I never would have seen that coming.
It's going to be great. It's going to.
Oh yeah, I'm here for it. And at the very least, even if I didn't think I was going to like it, I would probably just support the movie just again because of their stance in the current strikes and stuff.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, this could be, and man, I'm not saying that A24 is doing this as a business decision, but at the same time, their company, it probably is, but this is going to be really, really good for them, I think.
Yeah.
This could really, they're already on the map, let's just face it, but
oh yeah,
they're going to grow. This is going to be huge. They're going to make so much money during the strike, which means if they are taking care of their writers and actors, this is going to be a good time for writers and actors.
Yeah, absolutely. Get it, y'all. Get it while you can, because honestly, like Baron has said before, even if all these studios relent, there's going to be an expiration date on it. Eventually, the studios are going to start to go back on their word. So get it. Strike while the iron's hot. Get it while you can.
Yep.
That being said, I don't think the two companies we were just talking about are going to be the ones who go back on their word. I think these guys.
Oh no! Continue. I mean, yeah. Dropout has always been, even when they were College Humor, always kind of small. And again, in my experience, I mean, they're all comedians, but comedians write their own shit, so they're all writers. So yeah, they definitely have some stakes in the game.
All right, last thing I had on my to talk about list. McDonald's is bringing back the Pokemon cards. Get ready to buy some Happy Meals, because it's a new set of 15 cards. They are already out in Germany and Austria. They're releasing this month in the UK, and as far as I can see, the release date for the US and other countries has not been announced yet, but they are going to hit US and other countries. It's a whole new set of 15 cards that all come out of Scarlet and Violet. But if you're like me and you're a Pokemon fan, I don't collect a whole lot of Pokemon cards, but I got the whole set of the last McDonald's release last year, and this year they did a special release called Trick or Trade, where you could buy kind of Pokemon card packs that had 3 cards in it to give out as like trick or treat prizes that were all like ghost Pokemon and stuff. And there's a new set coming out this year too. So last year I got the whole McDonald's set, I got the whole Trick or Trade set, and I'll probably do the same thing again this year. It's just kind of fun to have like a smaller set that you can kind of go out there and collect, and you can't be run over by the scalpers because you can't just go to McDonald's and buy them out of Pokemon cards.
Right, exactly. But I see a bunch of assholes going in there and walking out with a shit ton of Happy Meals.
But McDonald's usually even limits that. So
these motherfuckers going in with a bunch of kids and then walking out, and I don't know.
So we've got just a few minutes left in the recording of this episode. Every year, the Gen Con apparently has like an awards thing that they call the Ennies, or Ennies, ENNIE. Would you like to know what won at this year's Gen Con?
Hit me with that.
So first up, we've got Product of the Year, which represents the overall fan favorite. And that went to Mythic Britain and Ireland expansion for Vaesen. So if that's a game that you like, new expansion, got Best in Show. And you can get that on DriveThruRPG or Amazon. Best Adventure went to Season of Mystery, which is also an expansion for Vaesen. I think I might have to check out what this Vaesen thing is, if all of these expansions for it are getting Best Adventure, Best in Show.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it before.
It looks good. It really does. And I am surprised that I don't have it yet. But I think that it is something that you would enjoy. There's a... Wait, are you talking about... Now that I'm thinking about it, you're not talking about a board game. You're talking about like a TTRPG, right?
I believe so. VAESEN.
Right. So what I knew of was the TTRPG. If there's a board game, even that'd be cool too.
I believe it is the TTRPG. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And what's winning these awards is like expansions and adventures being put out for this TTRPG. Nordic horror role playing.
So before it was or at least I think it was before it was a Nordic horror role playing game. It was a Nordic horror book that I have right here.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Well, this isn't the game. This is an art book with. It's got a write-up on each of the creatures in here. I actually got it as a gift to specifically use for TTRPGs to add cool little monsters and critters to my games.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw this, and I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" So yeah, I've been wanting to get this so bad, and it's beautiful and it's great. The fact that they're putting out expansions for it is even better.
Award-winning expansions.
Right. Award-winning expansions. So, yeah, that makes me feel really good that this is actually a decent game. So I'm going to have to start putting some of this overtime money into getting me a copy.
Right. Next award was Best Non-Digital Aid or Accessory. So it's like the best little physical accessories and fiddly bits you can add to your game. First place went to Decuma, a tarot-inspired world-building aid that provides players and GMs with relationships, locations, and other prompts to flesh out their campaign. So it's like a nice little tarot deck that you can use to just flesh out your world no matter what game you're playing.
Right.
Best cover art went to Swords of the Serpentine. Let's see. Best interior art went to Mythic Britain and Ireland expansion for Vaesen.
Jesus.
Best cartography, so best maps, went to the Blade Runner RPG starter set.
Wait a minute. How come I never knew about a Blade Runner RPG? Holy crap. Are you kidding me right now? I mean, I like Cyberpunk, obviously. I mean, I could just play Cyberpunk, but...
It's on sale. The starter set is on sale on Amazon for about $39 right now.
I might have to jump on that. Or I could just get it at their site.
Yeah.
If it would just stop doing this.
But it's $39 on Amazon right now. It's $52 at Modifius.
Maybe I'm on the wrong site then. Yeah, I'm on BladeRunnerRPG.com. I see a starter set, and it's $49.99.
Okay.
But if I can get that money directly to the developer and keep Jeffrey Bezos from getting some of it, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and that's only like a $10 difference. Spend an extra $10 to give it directly to developers. I'd rather do that myself too.
Yep.
All right, next up was Best Electronic Book. That went to Brindlewood Bay. Let's see, Best Family Game went to the Avatar Legends, the role-playing game starter set. You can get that at Target for about $25.
Mm-hmm.
Best out-of-the-box game went to Fabula Ultima. You can get it as a PDF at DriveThruRPG for about $12.
Nice.
Best layout and design went to the Blade Runner RPG, not the starter set, just the full game. Core rule set's about $60.
Cool.
Best monster/adversary went to Ruins of Symbaroum. Ruins of Symbaroum. Bestiary. Best RPG-related project went to an owlbear plush coming out of Metal Weave Games.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's fucking adorable. Best rules went to the Avatar Legends role-playing game starter set.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Best supplement went to Barkeep on the Borderlands.
That sounds cool.
Providing a detailed compilation of taverns, bars, pubs, and dives, complete with patrons, to add a little extra sauce to your next campaign. Best writing went to Swords of the Serpentine. Best free game / product, so the best free product you could get at Gen Con went to Root, the RPG Talon Hill Quick Start.
Okay.
And that was the Gen Con Awards.
Nice. That's cool.
So if you wanted to know what the best stuff was at Gen Con that you might have missed, there you go.
Do it.
And Baron, I believe that's about it for episode 100.
Amazing.
We managed to cover a lot in that short amount of time. We kind of sped run that episode.
Well, we were making up on some time between episodes. I know that there hasn't been a break in episodes for our listeners, but there was definitely feels like a month off for us. So, but yeah, it's definitely it's been a great 100 episodes, I think. I can't believe though that we've been doing this for 3 years now, and we've only just now hit 100 episodes. God. I mean, I guess we only do it once a week.
Yep.
And then, when we first started, it was very much do we have time to do this? Nah, we'll do it next week. So we've definitely gotten more committed in our craft. So
yeah, there's been a lot of things that were struggles to the beginning that we've kind of nailed down over the years.
Yep, and we're still nailing it down. I think that our format is getting better and better as we go. I think this year has been a huge improvement.
Mm-hmm.
We're even seeing improvements. We're getting steady listeners. We're getting more listeners. We're meeting people. It's good. I like it.
Well, here's to the next 100 episodes.
Absolutely.
And with that, come check us out on our Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening. Email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to hear about, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. I'm not going to spike the mic. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Have fun storming the castle.
You think we'll make it?
It'll take a miracle.